What's going on, everyone? It's Ben from Yugioh from Zero, back with another Retro Yu-Gi-Oh video and back with another tournament report video. Now, it's been a while since I've covered some results from the most recent Retro Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments that have been happening lately. I've just been very busy, and these sorts of videos do take a little bit more time than some of my other stuff. But there have been some very exciting results in the sphere of Retro Yu-Gi-Oh! So I'm excited to discuss them with y'all. Now, beyond just the tournaments that I'm going to feature here, there have also been a ton of other tournaments, both in formats that I've not covered on the channel yet, and also in formats that I have. It's just, I chose to sort of focus on the most interesting results, and so that's what I'll be featuring here. And of course, I got to start out with the tournament that just wrapped up on the Yugioh from Zero Discord server, YFZ 21 here in Trooper format. This was a really, really cool event. And, we'll be holding a zombie tournament next month. So if you want to play in that, head on over to the Yugioh from Zero Discord server, linked in the description down below. But this was a great event. We had a lot of different people playing. There was 7 plus 5 plus 3 plus 2. So that's 17. And then 21 people total in this event. 7 of them brought Perfect Circle Monarch, very popular deck from Perfect Circle format, so it makes sense why people brought it back here. 5 people brought Machine Beat, another very popular deck in this format when you've got Trooper at 3, Machine Duplication at 3 as well. And Trooper Beast, that's an interesting build. I guess this is just Trooper decks that are playing Card Trooper and trying to mill into like Baboon stuff and getting that online. That's a cool sort of designation there. 2 people on 6 SAMs, which did win the Demise format tournament, which is very similar to Trooper format, so it makes sense why people would try it out here. 1 Explosion OTK, so this I assume is Magical Explosion, like for an FTK or something like that. 1 Gadget Player, 1 Trooper Hero, and 1 Baboon Burn. So pretty diverse metagame here. And if you look at the top cut, there actually was a pretty diverse top cut as well. 1 person on Machine Beat, 1 person on 6 Sam, 1 person on Baboon Burn, and 1 person on Perfect Circle Monarch. So even though 7 people did bring Perfect Circle Monarch, only 1 person made it in top cut. Of course, that person did win. I think Perfect Circle Monarch is a very, very good deck in this format. If we look at this a bit more closely, you can see that it's basically playing how it would in Perfect Circle format as well, and that is pretty good. But it's playing with a lot of the more powerful cards that are available in Trooper format. Rain of Destruction's around. There's a lot of good stuff here that you don't have access to in Trooper. Snatch Steal. There's a lot of good stuff. So I think this is a very, very good deck in the format. Probably the best deck in the format, despite sort of more Machine OTK style decks being what the format is really known for. But this deck also has that in it, right? It's playing Machine Dupe as well, so you can still get that feeling of going for a troop and a dupe, and then hopefully your opponent scooping, while also playing a bit more of a standard sort of Perfect Circle Monarch deck. But very, very cool there. Baboon Burn from Splevin here is also very, very interesting because, Burn is a deck that a lot of people don't like to consider in a metagame, but it can be very, very strong. And Splevin definitely showed here how strong it can be, making it all the way to 2nd place. Although I'm pretty sure that they said during the tournament itself, they were like, man, I wish I had sort of done some changes to the deck, mixed it up a little bit, because there definitely are some unoptimized parts of it. So this deck could definitely improve even further in the future, and I'm curious to see where people bring in the future, because Baboon Burn is very, very cool, playing around with this green Baboon Defender of the Forest there. But other than that, we got 6 Sam, which is very similar to the Demise 6 Sam list, which won that tournament there. So very, very cool to see Gerbil here bringing it to a top 3 finish here, or tying for 3rd, I guess. So top 4, I guess, but either way, very, very impressive there, bringing this deck all the way to the top cut. And the last deck from Teapot is still a really cool deck as well, playing more of a machine focused deck, also playing Overload Fusion, Future Fusion, etc., so you can go into Chimera Tech, Over Dragon, and potentially blow your opponent out that way. So very, very cool to see all these different decks in the format, and it makes me excited for what the metagame of Trooper will evolve to be in the future. But of course, there are some other events that we also got to cover, just going back in reverse chronological order here. We've also got the Trick or Treat 1 Critter Tournament. Now, only 19 people played in this one, but an important thing to note is that Exodia actually did win this one. Exodia is a deck that people have been sort of they got it in the side, right? You've got like White Magical Hat, Card Destruction, Robin Goblin, etc. in the side if you're not playing the main, but people have been maining things for it because playing things like Robin Goblin or White Magical Hat also hurt things like Muka Muka Turbo as well. Now, this deck's a bit interesting because while it is playing Exodia, the pilot of the deck, Food, who also runs these tournaments, said the Exodia pieces were basically just hard bricks throughout the entire tournament. So, I don't think they actually won with the Exodia win con, like, at all in this event, which is actually very, very impressive for winning the entire thing and not winning with Exodia itself at, like, any point. But they do have a side deck into a more standard, like, Muka Muka Turbo strategy. So this is kind of like a win for Muka Muka Turbo instead of for Exodia. But still very, very impressive stuff from Food there. Now, the deck I really want to talk about here is going to be Jazz's second place Mass Control list, though, because this list is very fascinating. It's playing Triple Horn of Heaven, which is a card that a lot of people kind of look down on for a long period of time. I mean, I was one of them, because basically this has a very, very high cost for an effect that is similar to something like a Trap Hole, right? Negates the sum of a monster for attributing one of your own cards. So you have to both lose one of your own monsters, and also you're essentially just destroying one of your opponents. But the nice thing that this has over something like Trap Hole is if you can negate the summon of like a Sangan or a Witch of the Black Forest, then you can prevent those monsters from actually contributing to the resource engine that decks really do rely on in critter format. You can also stop things like Magician of Faith flip summon or a Mask of Darkness flip summon, although people aren't really playing Mask of Darkness, but you can stop flip summons like that as well. Very, very interesting card, even though Jazz did say that he'd probably cut down on this in the future. I do think it's very interesting to see this as a viable tech option now in this sort of more like mass negate style of deck. Another important thing to note here is that if you've got just a Mass Sorcerer up and you're attacking in and stuff, and you set a Horn of Heaven behind it, if your opponent summons out like a Sangan or Witch, you're probably losing that Mass Sorcerer anyways. So if you do tribute that off instead of tributing off like a Sangan or Witch to get the Church, then it is still a valuable trade for you. So I do like the theory behind Horn of Heaven, and I'm curious to see how people will continue to play it in the future, or if they will at all. So very, very cool deck there. And the third place deck is a more standard Muka Muka Turbo deck list by Dump Truck here. And this is also a very, very cool list. It's playing more all in on the Mukas. It's got a Mass Sorcerer in the deck as well to bring it off Last Will if you potentially want to go into that, or to search off Sangan or Witch. But yeah, this is more of a standard deck, but it is playing the Robin Goblin, which is a card that's been rising in popularity lately. So very, very good card overall, even if it's the only one of the top 3 lists that are playing it in the main. But still, very, very interesting stuff here. Very cool to see the variety of different decks here in this format. Of course, again, there are only 19 people playing, so 10 people brought Muka Muka Turbo, 7 got Mass Control, and 2 brought Exodia. But, this just shows how the meta continues to shift. And also, if we sort of divided down into these deck categories a bit more, then we might potentially see other sort of delineations as well. For instance, this list from Jazz could be called like Mass Negate or something like that instead of Mass Control, or maybe this is just how Mass Control looks in the future. We don't know yet, but Critter, definitely there's a lot more to explore in its metagame, and I hope that more tournaments get fired off for this, because I do think it is a great format to continue exploring. But of course, the last event I want to cover here is the CyberGoat Showdown 3. So it's held on the CyberGoat Central Discord server, and I'll leave a link to all the Discords where these events happen in the description down below. 20 people played in this event, and it was won by Alfia2, who's a icon in all these Retro Yu-Gi-Oh! Events. But they brought a very, very interesting deck list, which is why I want to cover this, because they brought Emissary Beat. This is a very, very interesting list. So basically, you're using Emissary of the Afterlife to search out something like Jerry Beansman, and you're playing Skill Drain as well to turn on both your Fusiliers and also to, just shut off your opponent's stuff. And Sidra being just a body that is just good to bring down also means that you don't really need to worry about Skill Drain interacting with that. You have very little effect monsters that are really affected by Skill Drain here, except for like Breaker and Tribe, and I guess Exarian Universe, but Exarian Universe's stats are good enough that you don't really care about that all the time. So very, very interesting list, very, very innovative list, and a very deserved win from Alfia2 here for bringing this sort of spice, showing how crazy things can get in the format immediately after GOAT, where you have Cybernetic Revolution. And it also is nice to see like a deck like that winning as opposed to Stein decks. Of course, there were 2 Stein decks in the next 2 slots. Lalo 8888 here brought a Chaos Machine list, but it's playing Stein in it. It's playing Limit Removal, so it can easily OTK you with the Stein stuff and your Cyber Fusions like Cyber Twin or Cyber End. And also GMYFS brought a more standard Stein Monarch build, which is playing how, these lists sort of usually turn out, right? You've got Last Will here to bring out Stein after you trade off a Monarch. Interesting that they only brought 1 Last Will, but, this is a card that you can potentially vary the number of. Double Cold Wave here as well. Very, very cool list here too. So, Stein still is running around in this format. It is something to know about, but you can win without it by bringing a deck like Alfia2 did there. So very, very cool to see that. And if we look at the deck representation, 6 people brought Chaos Machine, 5 people brought Stein Monarch, 4 people Goat Control, which is pretty good in the Stein stuff. 2 people brought Chaos Control, 1 person brought Cat of Decay, 1 person brought Warriors, and 1 person brought Emissary Beat. Now, I'm pretty sure there was also a Chaos Turbo player here. It just got classified as something else. So that is important to note. But if you want a format kind of like GOAT format with a similar sort of card pool, but with some key changes, and also with Chaos Turbo not potentially being as dominant as it is in GOAT, then Cyber might be a format for you, although the Stein stuff will definitely turn some people away. It is something to try out and see if you like it. So, yeah, this is going to do it for my coverage of the event. As I mentioned, there have been plenty of other events like Imperial events, Fiber events, Android events as well. Been a bunch of different events happening, but these were the most exciting results that I wanted to share with y'all. So let me know what you thought about it, and hopefully I'll do more consistent tournament reports in the future. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the weekly dose of Retro Yu-Gi-Ohs anymore, where I cover like everything under the sun for Retro Yu-Gi-Oh! I might just stick with the formats that I know or results that are especially interesting. But let me know down in the comments below what you think about that, because I value your opinions, and the reason I want to get this out on Thanksgiving is because I'm thankful for everyone in the community, you know. Thankful for the people who watch these videos and the people who don't necessarily watch but potentially play in these events and make them what they are. So big shouts to everyone in the community for making these formats what they are and making these events what they are, and I hope we just continue to grow in the future. So if you want to see more videos from me, subscribe, leave a like down below as well. Head on over to the Discords that I link in the description. Also, if you want to check out these results for yourself, I just used Format Library to pull them up, so definitely check out that as well. And as always, big shout outs to my patrons, Rinspin, Porkchipkin, Bread Knocker, Tyler Compton, GeoMyFest, Dump Truck, and Scout Zero. It means a lot that you all support me. So I encourage me to make more videos like this one in the future. I'm thankful for all of you as well. But that's going to do it. As always, I hope you enjoyed this one. And until next time, I've been Ben from Yugioh from Zero, and I'm signing off. Peace.